How to behave in front of an aggressive dog. Faced with an aggressive dog, it is not always easy to know how to react. When you come across an unknown dog, vigilance is essential, and it is important to identify the signs of aggression in order to defuse the conflict or to move away from the doggy without impact. When it comes to his own animal, it is essential to anticipate the risks and prevent certain situations likely to cause aggression, but also to put in place new healthier habits that will help the dog to find a confidence and a more balanced relationship with his master. Let's take a look at this case. Aggression in dogs. How to understand this phenomenon. Whether it's your pooch or a dog you meet on a walk, the aggressiveness of an animal is not always easy to understand. Nevertheless, behaviorists have been able to determine several forms of canine aggression that may explain its origin. Competitiveness. The dog can show aggression in the context of access to resources. It can be access to his food, but also to his bed or his space, to his toys, or even to the favors of his master. Pain. An injured or suffering dog can be aggressive. It is generally a means of defense intended to repel those who try to approach it. Irritation. The dog can show aggression when provoked or pushed to the limit, voluntarily or not. It can be an insistent master who persists in petting him when the animal does not want it, or even children who try to play with the dog until they annoy him. Fear. A dog who is afraid can be aggressive. This form of aggression is often difficult to control, because it is generally sudden and unpredictable, following a sudden noise, fireworks, thunderstorm, etc. An abandoned dog, left to his own devices, can be aggressive towards those who cross his path, because he feels alone and vulnerable, a fear he cannot control. Predation. Hunting dogs are the most affected, but they are not the only ones. These doggies can be aggressive when they pursue animal prey or a toy or moving object. Maternal protection. The bitch who has just given birth to her puppies is generally very protective of them, sometimes to the point of being aggressive towards those who approach them. Territoriality. Guard dogs, which have a strong guard and defense instinct, can be aggressive towards any intruder who enters their territory. Preventing your dog's aggression. How to do it. For a master, it can be confusing to have to deal with the aggression of his own animal. Anyway, it is possible to adopt certain habits that can help prevent aggressive behavior in the doggy. Understand the animal and learn to communicate with it. Dogs do not seek conflict. On the contrary, they prefer to avoid them. Consequently, when a certain tension sets in, they tend to send clear signals in order to calm the situation. Indeed, the animal can start barking, growling, rolling up its lips as if to smile, licking its nose quickly and repeatedly, or on the contrary yawning, trying to flee, backing up, etc. It is important, before adopting a doggy, to understand these signals specific to dogs in order to better interpret them when the time comes. As a master, if your pet starts to back away when you insist on petting it, it's up to you to deduce that your doggy needs peace of mind and to respect it. Otherwise it may show aggression to that you finally get the message. However, it should be noted that while canine language is universal, not all dogs learn to speak it innately. It is therefore important to ensure that the animal is socialized in contact with adult dogs from an early age, especially if it has been weaned early or separated relatively early from its mother and siblings. Throughout the life of your animal, it is recommended to allow him to be in regular contact with other dogs who behave well through activities in particular, agility, etc. The animal thus takes the example of its peers and it integrates good behavior much more easily. Multiply positive experiences. For the puppy, it is important to allow him to live several positive experiences from an early age with several different species. It is indeed during its first 3 to 12 weeks of life that the little doggy forges the foundations of its character. If he experiences several positive situations, he will be able to better accept changes and new events throughout his life. Explain the situation to the children. It is imperative that you teach your children, from an early age, to respect the dog. It is natural for toddlers to be attracted to these big stuffed animals, but children can be a major source of stress for the animal, to the point of pushing them despite themselves to show aggression towards them. Even the gentlest of dogs can suddenly become aggressive if a small child starts yelling or crying to startle him, if he pulls his tail, hair or ears to play, if he disturbs him while sleeps or eats. In short, never leave your children alone with your dog, because an accident can always happen, and teach them as soon as possible to respect the animal. Also, teach your children not to go near a stray dog or an animal they don't know. Young children, especially when they already have a stuffed animal at home, are not suspicious, but any animal, even on a leash, can show a sudden and aggressive reaction towards those it meets. How to behave when your dog is aggressive. If it's your own animal that is showing aggression, you will need to adopt the right behavior to prevent the situation from happening again. Calm the conflict. If you identify the signs of aggression in your dog, seek to communicate to him your desire to avoid conflict. To do this, talk to him in a soft voice, yawn, turn your head, squint your eyes, etc. Anticipate difficult situations. You know your pet, so it's up to you to avoid situations that tend to foster aggressive behavior in your dog. Avoid experiencing or being confronted with events or people likely to trigger this type of reaction. Rebalance your relationship. It is healthier to rebalance your relationship with your animal. You may have allowed bad habits to form, or you may not have been diligent enough in raising your pooch, but you can always improve things. Here are some tips to rebalance the situation. Always meet your dog's basic needs. You must offer him quality food in sufficient quantity every day, devote time to play daily, stimulate him physically and intellectually, take him out for at least 30 minutes every day on a real walk, and not a simple walk in the garden. Regularly teach him new commands or tricks by applying positive education, based on benevolence, consistency, firmness and encouragement. Through this, you will be able to strengthen your relationship and your complicity, but also his obedience. Be at the initiative of contacts. It's up to you to decide when to caress, when to go out, when to play, but also when to end them in order to reinforce your dominant role. If your dog asks you, ignore him, turn your back on him, don't look at him, don't talk to him or touch him. Wait for him to give up and move on to initiate contact and meet his need. Your dog must learn to go to his place, in his bed, at your request. Likewise, don't let him occupy yours without inviting him, the sofa, the bed, etc. Your dog must wait for your authorization before eating and not have a self-service bowl. His ration must be distributed